Hi there. When I was training in karate, the systems and the place I was most interested in was Okinawa. And when I went to Japan, I immediately made plans to visit Okinawa. Terry had arrived and we went and booked a sea voyage to Okinawa. And shortly before we went, Master Kanazawa of the JKA took us to dinner, and when he heard of our plans to visit Okinawa, he gave me his business card and he wrote an introduction on it, and particularly suggested we look up Master Yuchuku Higa, who he had met while he was researching many years before, and he praised his skill level quite highly. So as I say, that really was my my interest. And when we got to Okinawa, it really was everything I thought. You know, we met many of the top masters and really found out quite a bit about Okinawan culture. I found out that the Okinawans had their own language, and I learned a few phrases. And there are a lot of foreigners in Okinawa, mainly Americans, who didn't speak any Japanese. So if you spoke Japanese at all, they were quite pleased. But I learned to say thank you in Okinawan, and they were really delighted with this. When I got back to Japan, I told my Japanese girlfriend that about the Okinawan language, and she hadn't heard of it, and she actually denied that it existed until I spoke to her in Okinawan. Anyway, another little thing that illustrates the difference between the two was I had heard that a straw makiwara was very good because it tended to heal any abrasions. So when I was in Tokyo, I went to a place that it was like a general store, and it did sell kind of straw products, but they didn't have rope because you need the rope to wrap around, straw rope. So when I went to Okinawa, I wandered into a place again that specialised in straw products, and I was asking him about rope, and he said, what do you want it for? And I said, thinking he probably wouldn't understand, I said, it's for a makiwara. Oh, for a makiwara. Okay, this is the rope you need. And he went in the back and got some straw rope for me. And he said, where do you train? So I said, well, I'm training at Jundokan at the moment. Ah, Master Miyazato. Oh, very good. Anyway, he wouldn't take any money for this straw rope. Just a little bit of difference between the level of knowledge of karate in Okinawa, where it originated, and Japan. Anyway, one of the masters we were taken to meet, there are two main, you could say, main schools originating in the Okinawan history: Nahate and Shurite. Nahate morphed into Goju, and Shurite became Shorin Ryu, which has many offshoots. And Shorin, really, you could say, is the more well-known systems because it gave rise mainly to things like Shotokan. So we were taken to Master Nagamine's dojo. He was the chief instructor of Matsubashi Shorin Ryu, and he had a shop. He had a general store and a dojo, and in his general store, one of the things he sold was a record, a 45-inch single with the kind of anthem of Okinawan karate song on it. And I bought this, and I had it for many years until I moved houses, and it was lost in the move. very stirring thing. And I used to play it when we used to do an annual demonstration at my dojo in Liverpool. So he was very welcoming. Took us in the dojo. He had a class going, and we saw a couple of interesting things. One of which was a circular makiwara. It was a post split vertically into 4 sections, and you could kick this from any angle as well as strike it. And they did seem to use the makiwara quite a lot. I noticed there were a few guys using it. There was one guy in particular whose punching power was really impressive. Both Terry and I kind of looked at each other and, yeah, he's the real deal. Really was good. And even though Goju is known as the hard soft system, although it doesn't really have anything that I would call soft in it, Shorin was a hard, short moves, but very whippy and very powerful, and I was quite impressed. Anyway, Master Nagamine has written the book that I'm reviewing here, and really he's put a lot in it. There's a lot about the history, obviously, as most of the such books cover, particularly the history of his system, who were his founders and so on, who trained who, but also the actual techniques, and the kata in Shorin, they're kind of the old kata which morphed into the kata you see in the JKA. In the JKA they're called a Heian kata, and in Okinawa it's still called Pina. And things like Kanku in Okinawa was still Kishanku, and things like that, just different names, different terminology. So all in all, I found the visit to Master Nagamine's dojo was only a short visit, but we were able to meet him. I think he was the 9th down at the time, not sure. Very illuminating, and the book, which was published, well, in English subsequently, I got hold of, and it was a really interesting part of my Okinawan collection, which I used to dip into whenever I wrote articles referencing the history and so on of the Okinawan system. So that's it. A great book by a real master.